Pasta Vazul, baby.
Come on in.
Welcome to Scream Until You Like It presents the Amityville retrospective. I am your host, Ryan, and with me as always is your host, Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
And today we are talking about the second part of the 90s trilogy, as I call it, from Amityville. We're talking about Amityville, A New Generation. I got the feeling we've done this before. Do you get that feeling?
Me too. There's just a hint of deja vu here.
So weird. So for tonight's episode, we have chosen. Actually, sorry, I wanted to try a new intro. Just a sec. By the way, if you do want to check it out, Scream Until You Like It. Mike and Clint with special guest Adam Backus, I believe. And we dared to. I don't have this intro ready. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's so weird. I feel we've done this. Anyway, Amityville, A New Generation came out in 1993, and it stars... didn't have the IMDb. I freaking loaded up IMDb, and I still didn't have it ready. It stars Ross Patridge, who is pretty much the only guy I don't recognize, and he's our protagonist. We just discovered off podcast that he played Will Byers' dad in Stranger Things.
Tell your mother she's got to get you out of that hellhole. Does she even know you're here? Oh, great. Some real fine parenting right there.
So he's got that going for him. Good for him. But Nicole, you are way more educated on the other people that are in this movie. So do you want to round those off for us?
Sure. This movie surprised me with the cast when I first looked it up right before I watched it. We've got Terry O'Quinn, we've got Lin Shaye, we've got David Naughton, Robert Russler. I mean, this movie is filled with not just great actors, but actors that are very familiar in the horror world, which really surprised me. The cast is kicking. It really is.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, it's definitely got a bunch of... I wouldn't say they're mainstream horror, but like mainstream horror stars. But for anybody that's like invested in horror as much as we are, there's a lot of faces you're going to recognize. Like you'd mentioned Terry O'Quinn, but we also got David Naughton, which you had to remind me was who?
He was an American Werewolf in London.
Yes, sir?
A naked American man stole my balloons.
What?
An American Werewolf. See, I don't like werewolf stuff. That's the problem. It's just in one ear and out the other. But we do have Richard Roundtree as well. Not really horror, but he was Shaft.
He was Shaft.
Shaft. Hotter than Bond, cooler than Bullet. Rated R. If you want to see Shaft, ask your mama.
And yet you mentioned Robert Russler and Lin Shaye. Robert Russler, of course, from Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
So you're going to Lisa's house tomorrow night?
No. I'm grounded.
How come?
I think my grandmother down a flight of stairs.
And we all know and love Lin Shaye. Lin Shaye, America's sweetheart. Amityville, A New Generation, as I said, came out in 1993. We've gone through who it stars. It was directed by John Merlowski. I have no idea who that is. He looks like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Oh, he's got it. He's hanging out with a Starship Trooper, so he must have Done some. It looks like he's done some Stephen King stuff.
Okay.
A lot of made-for-TV movies. Oh crap! This dude's busy. He directed like 3 movies in 2021.
Wow.
Directed 7 movies in 2023.
Wow.
Okay, so this guy's continuing to work. Good for him. He's a working director.
Yeah.
Wearing a bow tie. That's brave. That's bold. Rocking the bow tie. He's known for Black Cadillac. Oh, and Richie Rich's Christmas Wish from 1998. Good for him.
Ooh.
Find out what everyone's favorite rich kid is wishing for.
Richie!
When The Boy with the Toys returns in the sequel to Macaulay Culkin's box office smash.
Precisely.
Richie Rich's Christmas Wish, coming to video this holiday season.
I just wanted an excuse to put a shitty Richie Rich movie clip into this. Last little bit of factoids there about the movie is the synopsis, where an old mirror from the Amityville house finds its way into a young photographer's home, where the demonic presence soon manifests itself to cause more death and mayhem. Yeah, that's about right. Before we get into that, though, because slight spoiler alert, I've been selling this movie pretty hard the last couple of episodes, and what I have to say about it might surprise you. But anyway, before we do that, as always, we just like to kick our feet up, shoot the shit, and talk about what we've been watching. And Nicole, why don't you lead us off?
Okay. I was able to go to the movies, excuse me, this week, and I saw Imaginary, and it was good. It had some creepy scenes in it, and the acting was great. The kids were great, but it kind of fizzled out towards the end. So this was I'd say I'd recommend seeing it just to see it, but wait for streaming. It's not horrible, but it's not fantastic either.
Perfectly middle of the road Blumhouse affair.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Kind of sounds like Drop Dead Fred, but with intentional horror as opposed to
exactly. Drop Dead Fred with self-harm. Yeah. It's
oh Jesus. What is it about that in movies nowadays? Like everything's got to be like self-harm or depression, or like it turns out that anxiety was the real monster all along.
Yeah, like let's get back to general good basic horror. There's
enough of this in real life. I don't need to be reminded that I have crippling anxiety when I go to the movie.
Exactly. It's our escape. Let's leave that stuff out the door. Yeah.
Did you see anything else?
I did. I saw a really good movie on, I believe it was Shudder, called Unwelcome. And this was 2022, about a couple who is expecting their first child. And again, they move into a house that his aunt had passed away and left them, and it's in Ireland. And the neighbor comes over talking about offerings to like the garden people, or I can't remember exactly how they phrased it. And she has to leave basically meat out every single night in the garden. And if you forget, the monsters or goblins, whatever you want to call them, will wreak havoc. And it was surprisingly, this is normally not my kind of movie. I loved it. It was so good. It was something you would love. I immediately thought of you as soon as we saw the first creature effects. And the majority of it was practical effects, which I adored. And it was a fun, creepy movie. I highly recommend it to anybody. Any horror fan would enjoy this movie.
Killer Garden Gnomes, I'm sold.
Killer Garden Gnomes. And I know that sounds silly, but they really did a great job with it. It
sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Anything else?
That was it this week. How about you?
Okay. Not too much from me. Busy, but I did manage to kill an evening watching The Raid and The Raid 2 back to back. These movies were surprisingly well done. The fight choreo, I have never seen fight choreography like that before in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they pulled it off. There's clearly some wire work going on, but it's subtle. Like some of these fights are just a touch too much to be 100% believable, but it doesn't detract. Like the movie is fantastic. The first one, once it gets going, is just nonstop action and fight scenes. The second one, which is arguably the better movie, does drag some more. The first movie is about an hour and a half. The second movie was 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Wow.
That's a lot of time to invest in an action movie.
That's Godfather length.
It's Godfather. That's like the fucking Fellowship of the Ring. But it's definitely worth sitting down. The story is good. The acting is great. They are subtitled. I think they're from Singapore. So either you got to learn, I don't know what they speak in Singapore, but whatever they speak, you either got to learn that or you got to read. Thankfully, as I said, the action is pretty frequent. So especially in the first movie, you're not reading a lot. You're just basically watching a bunch of bombastic fight scenes. Highly recommend both, though. Fantastic time.
I love that. I mean, I'm the Van Damme Seagal generation, so
exactly.
I love
that's
all
what I'm
that
saying.
Stuff.
I love Under Siege, Hard Target. I watch Hard Target so much, like with Lance Henriksen as a villain, just fucking stealing the scene. And you got Wilford Brimley with that New Orleans drawl for some reason.
Here, drink. But do not spill. It kill the grass. Petit fou putain.
I mean, it works in the movie, but it doesn't make a lick of fucking sense. I don't even know how you say diabetes with a Southern drawl or with a New Orleans.
I was just thinking the same thing. Like, how would you pronounce that?
I was gonna try, but I'm like, that would probably offend someone.
Probably.
But yeah, if you got no other movies to bring up, let's hop right into this.
Okay.
Amityville: A New Generation.
Once it hung in a fine old home.
Like it? It's interesting.
I want you to have it. Reflecting.
Oh, where did you get this?
Witnessing.
It's fantastic.
Watching.
What do you see?
In a place called Amityville. All its secrets.
Maybe he just got to look at himself.
All its memories.
You know this man?
All its mysteries.
What does it say in the file about the mirror?
Have become a legacy of terror. Passed from father to son.
No! Maybe I'm going to commit the same crime. Maybe it's my destiny.
Amityville, A New Generation. Starring Terry O'Quinn of The Stepfather.
No!
And David Naughton of An American Werewolf in London.
Come back here!
From the special effects team that brought you the original Amityville horror. And the blockbuster hit, The Hunt for Red October. Through this looking glass. A journey beyond fear. Amityville, A New Generation.
I'm proud of you, son.
The image of evil.
You want to start us off? Give us one of your wonderful synopsis.
I keep saying this about every Amityville movie, except for the original. But every sequel, it feels like I'm in front of the TV for 3 or 4 hours. And I'm in front of the TV for 90 minutes. Basically, the main guy, like you said, our protagonist, comes across this mirror that he receives from a homeless man who's just pushing around this, 5-foot long mirror in a shopping cart.
This mirror is immaculate too, by the way. Like, not even a chip.
It is. It's spotless. It's mint condition, and he's been pushing it around in a shopping cart. And he gets our protagonist, who is a photographer. He pulls him aside and just randomly gives him this mirror. No idea why. And the guy takes it. No idea why. And we find out that the mirror is possessed because it came from the Amityville house. Yes. and it kills everyone around him, and it's just I don't even know what else to say about this movie because it's just yeah, we have the twist in the end, um, which was decent. It was a decent twist, but again, it just felt like it was so long.
Don't let me forget. I have a question about that twist a little later.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I absolutely agree. These I'm noticing the last two, because you have mentioned the runtime in the last two movies.
Mhm.
Both of these are just shy of an hour 40. Like I think the last two have both been an hour 36.
Mhm.
When you're doing a direct to video sequel, like, let's not be fancy here, guys. Like an hour 20, an hour 25 would be perfect.
Mhm.
And it's that extra 10 minutes that, and this movie especially, because this is a talk heavy movie.
Yeah.
At least with It's About Time, we had a lot of over the top special effects.
Mhm.
You know, we had goop, we had gore. This one ain't got that. This one has, well, we mentioned it with Imaginary. This one has repressed memories and childhood trauma.
Yeah. Exactly.
Fun. That's what you want out of
Exactly.
part 7 in a franchise about a haunted house.
Right.
So yeah, like we do get what is her name? Suki, her boyfriend.
Yes.
Gets killed.
Yes, Robert Whistler. That was
Ex-boyfriend,
early on.
douchebag. Yeah, that was and then we get the whole stuff with Suki and the hanging. That was pretty cool with the
Mhm.
excuse me, with the visions that she's seeing.
Mhm. And the demon that comes out of one of her paintings and
yeah, the little glowy green guy running around.
Yeah.
But then the movie just like hits the brakes.
Mhm.
And we don't get another kill. Is Dick the next kill? That was the landlord. Goes to Suki, like zaps him.
Yeah, he got electrocuted.
Yeah, and that's like in the last
basement, I want to say
15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. So so we got to go like 45 minutes with a police investigation and cops interviewing him and him going to the hospital to figure out who this homeless man is that gave him the mirror, and then we get the childhood flashbacks, and it was just a lot of I hate like sludge in the middle of it. Like it felt like you're walking through mud trying to watch this movie.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I was
Mhm.
like, what the fuck is even happening right now? And
Yeah.
that's you had mentioned like the childhood trauma again. So our protagonist, Keys, a guy I think we just mentioned now because he's literally that important. He has this homeless guy that gave him the mirror. Turns out to be his dad, who was not the DeFeos, but it was another family that lived in the house before the DeFeos,
Mhm.
who he also killed his father, mother, and siblings.
Mhm.
As you do when you live in the Amityville house. But so then we cut to several years later. This Franklin, I believe is his name. Franklin's at a mental institution, and he's being visited by his wife and son, Keys.
Mhm.
When did the dude have time to have a wife and son while he was in a mental institution?
I don't know. I'm thinking, I mean, did they survive the assassination? Did he not get caught until later after he got married and had a kid? I have no idea. They
Because
didn't
it
I don't
doesn't
remember them explaining
yeah, it
anything.
doesn't explain it.
No.
And the kid's quite young, so you would feel
Yeah.
that the kid would want to be at Meemaw and Papa's on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. So
Yeah,
you would
not
think that they
visiting
would be
his
there.
father in a mental
Well, you
institution
got it.
when he's 6 years old. Yeah.
So my question is, why wasn't his wife and kid at Thanksgiving with the rest of the family?
I don't know. They never explain anything. This guy just murders a family in the house and then gets, arrested and put in a mental hospital. But he magically has a wife and child on the side. Yeah.
This movie literally spends an hour being dialogue heavy and nothing but exposition. And somehow one of the most important plot points is just completely glossed over. They're like, fuck it, let them figure it out on their own. And I'm trying, and I've made some outrageous claims. I've defended some movies, being like, well, you just have to think about it like this. You can't do that. There is no reason why any of this happens.
No, they give you nothing to think about.
That mental institution also. So Keys, again, now he's an adult now. His daddy hobo has mysteriously passed away from off-screen circumstances. I can't remember the name of the facility. It's like the Danamore or facility, but
I don't remember either.
He's going to this facility, and it shows his car on the other side of a gated entrance. But you can see that the intercom's been ripped off the wall. So I'm thinking, oh, he's broken into this old insane asylum, hoping to find maybe some files on, Daddy Hobo. But he's talking to Lin Shaye when she's in there. When he's in there.
Yeah.
So this place isn't closed.
No, only the one wing was left open, and they were closing that. And Lin Shaye was apparently the only nurse on staff for an entire wing in a mental hospital.
But how'd he get in if everything was smashed?
Again, they don't explain it.
They don't explain it.
No, Lin Shaye's just working in this broken down, unsecured mental hospital.
As you do.
With patients.
That still has... This movie makes no fucking sense. And I know we've said that before, but I mean, I wish I could go back and not be as hard on some of these movies. Because this movie makes no fucking sense.
It makes no sense. There's no consistency.
But we haven't even talked about who Keys is or anything. So Keys is a... what is Keys? I know he's like an artist, but is he like what are those artists called that... performance? He's not a performance artist. He's a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
But he does performance art at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard, his family, it's this whole like you choose your family thing. So he's got Richard Roundtree, his girlfriend, and Suki, and they all live in this flat house, I guess is the best description for it. I don't know.
It was like an apartment building that was not supposed to be an apartment building kind of place.
They were really popular in the 90s. Nowadays they go for like $10,000 a month or something like that. Back then, you got them for dirt cheap because nobody wanted to live in them.
Yeah.
So they're all artists, and they're setting up this big show. Mm-hmm. And Suki is the only one that's putting any kind of effort into this. Because Richard Roundtree has I'm sitting on a couch with a gun pointed at my face. Keys, our protagonist, has the Norman Rockwell thing he wants to do, which again is just one piece, though. It's one piece,
right?
Like, you've got art critics and stuff coming to your show. Now, I'm not an artist. I don't pretend I'm an artist. I don't pretend to understand artists. I do feel, though, that if you're going to have critics coming to evaluate your work, you want to have more than one piece.
And if not, that one piece better be pretty fucking spectacular.
Because they've got like bottles of wine out. They've got food. Like, they're expecting this to be an event, like something that's going to last hours. There are 2 pieces on show. How long does it take you to stare? Like, I don't understand art. Maybe they stare at these fucking things for hours. But
no,
I mean, Suki had like 30 paintings.
Yeah.
So go
all
Suki.
The demonic stuff that was really cool.
Now that Keys has the mirror, things are starting to go a little squirrely for Keys.
Yeah.
Kind of almost feels like that. You know what? Did you ever see the remake? Not remake, I guess reboot to Candyman?
Yes.
Are these the same fucking movie?
No, because Candyman made sense.
Is Candyman just this movie after a couple more rewrites?
No, Candyman made sense. The guy in Candyman had more than one piece, more than one art piece to show. And yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm noticing some similarities here. But yeah, so now that he's got the mirror, like, he's going crazy. Like, originally he was just going to do his photography. And then he got the idea after Daddy Hobo died that he was going to do this Norman Rockwell thing where he had like the standees and he was going to use his friends' faces like photographed on these standees and make like a shitty Norman Rockwell. I say shitty. I mean, I fucking love Norman Rockwell. I got a Norman Rockwell in my fucking hallway. Like, but then it goes to, and this, I'm sorry, this is dark. When his girlfriend, because he's starting to get like images of his dad killing the family at Thanksgiving. So she suggests, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to do the same thing because, you know, I'm my dad and da 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 da, and, you know, trauma." So she suggests that he shoot them.
You've got this ridiculous idea that you're destined to shoot your family. Well, Dick, Jane, Polly, we're your family. Shoot us.
Well, remember, it wasn't just a fake gun. She filled it with water that had red food coloring in it, so it would look like blood when it hit them. So I guess that does it.
That's right. I forgot about that. That makes sense now. I don't. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
But we also have, at the same time, Richard Roundtree has this whole TV is, you know, killing us thing.
Yeah.
So he's sitting in a couch or a chair with a loaded shotgun pointed to his head with a clock that's counting down. But he doesn't know when it's going to go off. And that's his performance piece, is him just sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
I did love the scene, though, where after he's announced that it's a loaded gun, and not the guy who sits in the chair, like that guy, whatever. I'm talking about the fact that these critics are aware that this gun is loaded, and they're all just standing behind him.
Yes.
And I'm like, motherfucker, you are still in the line of fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
apparently they don't know anything about
this
shotguns, that it's going to spray.
Well,
yeah.
They're here to criticize the art. They are not here to know gun safety.
I was thinking about the guy who actually sat in the chair, and then Richard Roundtree kind of scared the shit out.
Which, what did he have against that guy? Because in the scene just before that, he was asking people to sit in the chair while he went and took a leak.
Yeah, yeah.
But then he finally gets a guy with the balls to actually sit in the chair, and he's all like, "You motherfucker!"
Yeah, he's like, "Get out of the chair!" It scared the hell out of him.
So that's how Keyes gets a real gun, though, and decides to reenact the not DeFeo murders at the Amityville house.
Yep. He traded in the Super Soaker for a loaded shotgun.
And I feel after the first, because he shoots like everything on the table except for, you know, his friends and family.
Yeah.
I feel that once the first shot went, I don't know, like those art critics got some fucking balls. Not, you know, it's about time balls, but they,
I'm sinking.
They got some fucking balls to just stand around after this guy's firing live rounds.
Yeah. The turkey just was obliterated. That was his best special effect I saw in the entire movie, was the turkey blowing up.
It explodes. And I mean, I'm not a gun guy. We've established this in our little rendezvous. I'm Canadian. We don't do a lot of guns. Even those of us that have guns, we don't do a lot of guns. We use them for, you know, hunting animals, not everything else. But I feel there'd be more damage than from a shotgun at that close a range than just the turkey. I'm pretty sure that the serving plate it was on was fine.
Yeah, that would have been obliterated too. Yeah.
Well, there would be a hole in the table or something.
At least a hole in the table, yeah.
Then Terry O'Quinn comes to save the day. A guy that we have not really mentioned much, despite him being in a good chunk of the movie. His character he's the exposition dump. He just, every scene he's in, he's dumping exposition and we don't fucking care.
Yeah. And he's got that one little quirky line at the end, and that was it.
Hey. Big mistake, Keyes. 7 years, bad luck.
So we didn't mention that Daddy Hobo is now in the mirror.
Yes.
And teasing and trying to manipulate Keyes. So this mirror is always where it needs to be. Like, despite the fact that it was in Keyes' apartment, just the scene before this, because Keyes gets sucked in and he sees Suki and everybody who's died in like the insane asylum. And the dad's all like, "Kill for me." So, but when Keys is shooting the turkey, the mirror is now in the art show.
Yes.
And Daddy Hobo again is like, Keys, I'm in the mirror, kill for me. And Keys uses the force or whatever the fuck he uses to find the courage to shoot the mirror instead of his friends. And then Terry O'Quinn just, who's there now, and despite the fact that a man is shooting a shotgun at people, the police do not shoot him. They decide to give him a moment.
Yeah, that would never happen.
That wouldn't happen in Canada.
No.
And our cops are known for not fucking doing that. Like, they have nobody. There wouldn't be a freaking witness in the room that wouldn't be like, no, they were right to do that. But for some reason, they give him a moment, and he shoots the mirror and killing Daddy Hobo. And Terry O'Quinn just turns to him and says, "That's a shame. That's 7 years bad luck."
Yes.
And I'm like, fuck you, Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah. He's such an amazing actor. And he was just wasted in this. Completely, his character was just wasted.
He was too good in this.
He was. He made everybody else look worse.
Because when he's talking about, when he's doing that scene, he's like, I'm not just a cop. I'm also like somebody that, studies this stuff. And I understand what you're going through and you need to express this. And I'm like, yeah, Terry O'Quinn, that's right. Like, he needs to do this, Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah.
And I kind of shake my head and I'm like, what? No, what the fuck is going on here? Like, you need to arrest this man.
Yeah. Shoot him in the leg. Something like that,
Like, give him they had tasers in 1993, didn't they?
Yes.
Beanbag guns, like something. Pepper spray.
No, they just let him shoot up the room and then, tell him it's bad luck to shoot a mirror. In the shotgun that holds like 52 shots. But that's standard in a lot of.
My understanding is a pump. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. What was that?
No, I said that's standard in a bunch of these cheesy movies, like a 6-shot revolver. You see somebody fire 42 times without reloading.
My understanding is that a pump action shotgun can hold 7 rounds. That is I don't know what style of pump action. I know there's several different styles. As some of our friends have been kind enough to show me.
Yes.
But my understanding is on average they hold 7 rounds. And that thing didn't look very modern. It didn't look that big. I don't know where those 7 rounds would go.
I don't either.
Also, too, the dude had it pointed at his head while he was. Why was it fully loaded? Because that was the whole
like
is it or isn't loaded? One. You're right. So not only was it loaded, he had it get maxed out. Yes. Like, he used all his experience points to double and triple the capacity of that fucking shotgun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god. This movie. Well, I feel we've done a terrible job at explaining the movie, but in all honesty, the movie does a terrible job at explaining the movie.
Yeah, the movie itself is just awful at trying to portray a story. Because there isn't one. It's just choppy.
I'm gonna steal a Nicole line here. Evil mirror causes evil. People die. The end.
Yeah. Hot garbage. That's what it is. Hot garbage.
Well, that sounds like a perfect time to move into the rating space.
Yeah, there we go.
Nicole, you want to start us off?
Sure. My rating system, I take 6 basic points, which are acting, cast, story, effects, opening, and ending. And I rate them all from 1 to 10 and then average them out. This movie, and the only reason I even gave it this much was because of the cast, I gave it a 4.2.
I noticed that's higher than Amityville and Nugent. It's About Time.
Yeah.
I take offense to that.
Like I said, it's only because of the cast, and even though so many of these great actors were only in it for about 3 minutes, still, Lin Shaye, Terry O'Quinn, Robert Russler, Richard Roundtree. It's just, yeah. That's the only reason I gave it that much was because of the cast.
No, that's fair. I mean, the cast is good. And like I said, Terry O'Quinn's acting the shit out of this movie.
He is. He acts the shit out of everything he does.
The dialogue doesn't make any sense. But I mean, I was still listening to him because I'm like, it's Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah. 7 years bad luck.
7 years bad luck.
So unlike Nicole, I have no system. I just rate however I'm feeling. And so I'm going to start off by saying there's a reason for that joke at the beginning, as you clearly saw. We did this review once already, and I don't know if I took some trucker pills or what, but it was not possible to edit that thing. So entirely my fault. And I believe on that one, if I can recall, I gave it really low, something like a 1.5. This is not a 1.5, but it's not much better. After a second rewatch, there are some enjoyable parts of this, as you mentioned, Nicole. Like Terry O'Quinn is fucking fantastic, and most of the actors are fine. From fine to great. Like our protagonist is fine. Suki, I feel, doesn't get enough to do other than being, the sexy artist. The special effects are there. I guess there's nothing. There's really not a lot in this.
No, there's not.
The story makes absolutely no sense. It's too long. This is a huge disappointment. When I was so excited about It's About Time and giving it a 6.5, I had said in that review that It's About Time was the worst of this 90s trilogy. That was a fucking lie. Because this movie is dog shit.
It's awful.
It's better than Curse, but not by much. I'm giving this a 2 out of 10.
Wow.
Just for the cast. But yeah, that about sums up this. This is very unfortunate for me because going into this, I remembered absolutely loving this movie. I'm hoping our next movie, Dollhouse, is not as does not have the same fate as this movie, because I remember liking Dollhouse a lot. It actually, from my recollection, it is my favorite of the 90s trilogy. So hopefully that holds up, but we shall see when we reconvene for our next episode, Amityville Dollhouse, where we will have 2 special guests, actually. The 2 hosts from the WTF. Oh my God. Oh, they're going to kill me. WTF True Crime and Other Shit podcast. They're going to be on there with us. We're going to talk Amityville Dollhouse. I figured it'd be good to have them on, the true crime. Why I didn't have them on for one of the movies that were actually about the true crime, I don't know. But yeah, we're excited to have them on. But before we call it a night, as always, we like to give props to the fine people who let us do whatever the fuck this is. Nicole, want to get on with that?
Absolutely. Scream Until You Like It. Fantastic page on Facebook. Mike and Victoria do an amazing job running it. We are also on Instagram. We are on YouTube. We are on Twitter. We are on all of them. So subscribe, and check it out because it's really cool.
Very cool. And I always agree with you, as always, because I don't know what the fuck it is we're doing, but they're still letting us do it. So it's only going to get weirder.
It is. But that's all right.
That's all right. And of course, as always, I am 1/3 of the hormonal werewolves. So if you, for whatever reason, like listening to me go off on a fucking tangent, please join us over there. We have a YouTube page, we have a Facebook group, and we just talk about movies, good and bad, new and old, everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
You got anything else, Nicole, you want to say before we head out?
No, I'm looking forward to Dollhouse. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm very much looking forward to it.
It better be fucking better. If it isn't, it's just
it has to be better than.
If it isn't, the whole fucking review is just going to be me with That kind of face. All right. Well, then that wraps up another chapter of the Amityville retrospective. As always, I have been your host, Ryan.
And I am Nicole.
And remember,
Smile, you son of a bitch.
Get the hell out of that chair.